Happy New Year. I'm Scott Wright and I serve as the Decatur City Manager. Like you, probably, I'm happy to see the year 2020 in my rearview mirror. But I think we all need to know that things aren't going to magically get better just because we all put up a new calendar on our walls. So what does the year 2020 portend? Well, the world is changing, and how the city of Decatur changes, how it does business and how it provides services to its citizens is going to need to change as well. The Decatur City Council is committed to looking at structural changes. They have said as much many times, including in the budget review sessions. But they are inclined to go slow and be deliberative because they have found that sudden and radical changes are harder. But rest assured, there'll be plenty of opportunity for us to have public comment as we walk through some of these changes. What will some of those changes look like? Well, we fundamentally have to find a different way of providing services and meeting the demands of our changing city. We have to find replacement revenues to supplant what we have lost, because some of the revenues that the city of Decatur has lost are permanent losses. We'll have to do even more to remove some of the barriers to small businesses so that they can remain alive and continue to contribute to our local economy. We have to find different ways of dealing with unsustainable public safety pensions and find different ways to provide fair compensation to our hardworking staff. Because simply compounding cost of living adjustments on top of cost of living adjustments isn't going to work. It makes the pension system worse, and that's not fair over the long term to our taxpayers. The City Council has committed to examining new revenue sources in the year ahead as part of their quarterly budget reviews and budget amendments. But I believe the Mayor and City Council are still committed to the view that the city should not tax its way out of its economic downturn. Instead, there are sometimes ways to decrease taxes or fees in one area while increasing them in another, and do so in ways that makes the system fairer and less burdensome for local taxpayers. At its next City Council study session on Monday, January 11th, the City Council will take up several topics that are related to business and community recovery, including how to direct even more funding to small businesses that have been hit the hardest by COVID-19 and secure even more funding for rent and utility assistance for our citizens who have been impacted the most by COVID. They'll also be discussing how and when bars and restaurants could be allowed to partially reopen and other ways to use the city's resources to help ease the financial burden of the pandemic. Please know that the Council is absolutely committed to doing everything that it reasonably can to help at this difficult time. So let me share some of the latest public health statistics with you about COVID since the last time we had a chance to talk. Since the start of the pandemic, there have been 8,241 Macon County residents test positive for COVID. That's a little more than 7% of the Macon County population and about 1 in 14 people. Not long ago, our positivity rate here in Macon County was below 6%, but now it's back up to 6.9%, and that number is rising. We're in Region 6, and Region 6 positivity rate is out of compliance, and it is now at 9.1%, and that number is also rising. The challenge for city and county government in the midst of this pandemic is this: how do we help local businesses stay in business while still protecting the health and safety of the entire community? If there's too much lockdown, then people stay at home. That contributes to mental health problems. They don't seek out non-COVID related medical procedures. It increases shootings and other disorders. But if we open up too much, then the numbers go up. The number of people with viruses increases, and it taxes the capacity of our healthcare facilities. This is the middle ground that the City Council and others have struggled to find. And it's sadly been made more difficult because the issue has become so polarized politically. But please know that the City Council is striving to find that middle ground that's best for the community and strikes that right compromise. COVID testing will likely continue at the Decatur Civic Center parking lot through the month of January, generally every day from 8 to 4. And testing is also available at Crossing Healthcare's new drive-through facility at 990 North Water Street. That same Crossing Healthcare facility on North Water Street will likely be a vaccine site when the vaccine becomes available to the general public. But so far, the vaccine is not available to the general public. The state of Illinois has elected to vaccinate healthcare workers first, and I should say that that process has gone well in Macon County and Decatur with hardly any hitches. The next groups to receive the vaccine, in accordance with the state plan, will be first responders and the elderly. For additional information on vaccine availability, please feel free to contact the Macon County Health Department. I'm optimistic that 2021 will be better than 2020, but I do not believe that everything will return to the way that it was before the pandemic. Some changes will be permanent, and many of these changes will be for the best. For my part, I look forward to talking through these changes with you in these weekly videos. So, Happy New Year.